Hi, my name is Anitra Nelson, and I'm a degrowth activist scholar who lives in Australia. Today, I'm going to introduce degrowth. First, I'll deal with the inevitable questions around the deliberately provocative term degrowth and suggestions that A-growth or regrowth might be better options. I ask all of you who think degrowth is off-putting, do you have a problem with demilitarization, with decolonization, deinstitutionalization, dematerialization, or with decommodification? Degrowth is all of these practices. How could acolonization or recolonization be better than decolonization? So you need to read the D in degrowth in this sense. In short, degrowth is a fit for purpose and it's an essentially political term. Right now, it's emerging worldwide as a topic and provocation in mainstream media, already having established itself across disciplines in academia, especially in the field of ecological economics. Degrowth as an idea has many sources stretching back well over half a century. But as an active and horizontally organised movement, it's actually still waiting to turn 25 years old. As the name implies, degrowth challenges economic growth, not simply as the symbol of growth in gross domestic product, but also, and more particularly, as the essential formula for capital and its accumulation. That is, as money making more money. Instead of focusing on monetary values, degrowth is post-capitalist and values the living world, all of nature, ecological dynamics, and human being as an element of planet Earth. In an imbalanced world where economic growth appears as a cancer threatening to kill its human host, degrowth is a life force, a survival tactic, and a philosophy of living life to its fullest. Degrowth is attracting attention and has come of age because it addresses these two worldwide challenges of the 21st century. That's increasing ecological unsustainabilities and the inequities and injustices between people. The degrowth movement recognises that out of control carbon emissions and climate change are just the tip of the iceberg of ecological unsustainabilities. Similarly, growing inequities are not simply a problem to be tackled in isolation. Monetary growth generates the division of people into managers and the managed, profiteers and the exploited, winners and losers. Money and private property are about actively creating and regenerating inequity through exclusion and violence, both within and between nations. In response, degrowth has developed its own lexicon, such as the terms frugal abundance and conviviality. Frugal abundance refers to avoiding conventional work, overconsumption, and activities damaging to Earth in favour of engaging in a rich quality of life with a low ecological footprint. A frugally abundant life is full of conviviality. As coined by Ivan Illich, social conviviality, which is about being collaborative, collective, sharing, and commoning. Degrowth extends social conviviality to technological conviviality, where communities, not so-called experts, decide on the devices, equipment, and techniques that they use to make and do things. Such communities use degrowth principles to make decisions. Social and ecological principles are at the heart of degrowth collective decision-making over the most appropriate technologies to create or adopt so-called convivial technologies. We want durable tools that are easy to understand, make, use, and repair. We need to create and select technologies that minimize material and energy use in their embodiment and as we operate them. Degrowth is an holistic paradigm that turns capitalist work and production on its head. Feminist precursors of degrowth, such as Maria Mies, transform the framing of economy to one of collective provisioning of essential needs, not only centering caring as in social production, but also universalizing love and care as an approach to all kinds of work. She underscored the political, and she understood that Indigenous peoples of what we now refer to as the Global South had traditional commoning practices that were far more sustainable and convivial than agro-industrial practices. We do degrowth by imagining, discussing, and engaging in prefigurative practices, by experimenting with exactly how we might make degrowth practices on the ground. Karkonomia in Budapest and its surrounds, and Alsterswandels on the outskirts of Berlin are examples. These are not closed utopian degrowth formations, but vibrant and open. They show, not tell us what degrowth is. We are developing a language for degrowth ways of being in the world. A favourite author of many degrowth activists is Ursula Le Guin. And Ursula writes, and I quote, "The imagination is an essential tool of the mind, an indispensable means of becoming and of remaining human." Degrowth advocates not only debate what degrowth might look and feel like, but also how a transition might proceed. It's important in terms of where degrowth activists put their energy. Can we transform the world by encouraging and multiplying alternative degrowth practices and cultures at the grassroots, and by establishing skills of substantive and direct democracy? Or should we emphasize planning and top-down degrowth regulations and policymaking? The anti-capitalist resistance of Indigenous communities, as in territories of life, suggests that community-based governance is integral to working with, not against and over Earth. Inconspicuous degrowth practices in so-called undeveloped regions, or as practiced by those within capitalism who are just trying to get by and live their best life, are almost always the result of frugal practices, marginalized and exploited by intentional capitalist practices. As such, it would seem that degrowth must be vocally intentional, resisting and challenging growth, and its undemocratic practices by advocating principles of direct and substantive democracy, that is, the right not to grow economically. This is why degrowth is a fit-for-purpose, anti-economic, and essentially political term. With so little time to so massively transform ourselves to be more sustainable and equitable, the degrowth movement exists to spread degrowth ideas, skills, and approaches. Simple policies from above can be misunderstood, avoided, and reversed from below. Instead, we all need to debate our joint future, to consciously internalize degrowth ways of being, to hold each other's hands despite our differences, to apply degrowth social and ecological principles and skills together. To quote Le Guin again, "There is no sea chart for a boat in a hurricane.